How you doing, guys? Big Mac Dance School here again today, back once again with another Conquest video for you. Today I'll be taking a look through the pages of issue 38. So let's start, as we always do, with a quick look at the value of the issue. This issue you're getting, bam, one of them. It's a Plague Surgeon miniature. It's a very nice little miniature. It's a tainted apothecary, so not too long ago we got a Space Marine Primaris apothecary. This time we're getting the Death Guard equivalent. He's going to be on the lookout for all sorts of fallen... He's on the lookout for all sorts of... I said it again. He's on the lookout for fallen Ultramarines so he can nick the gene seed before the Primaris apothecary gets to them. And this miniature itself, I believe, I didn't actually check, but off the top of my head it's 15 quid, because most of the Death Guard characters are £15. So you're getting almost twice the value of the magazine. You're getting... The value of the miniature is almost twice the value of the magazine. But wait, there's more. The more is this thing. So, this is a battle map, which is the same size as the previous battle map we've got. We're getting one side, as we had before, with a bit of terrain on. I assume you can see some of that terrain. I can't see any of it now because it's on the other side. But it's the terrain that will be coming in the next 20 issues or so. I'll just move to one side and point some of it out. We've got these, which are the not thermic plasma conduits. We've already got them. These are plasma regulators or something like that. Two of them, one there, one there. We get an anarchomite stack, I think, down here, and then that comes with that as well. And a hemotrope reactor. And that's it for the terrain, I think. That's what we're getting in the next 20 issues. We'll be getting as well some more miniatures, obviously. And what else? What else are we getting? I wonder if we're going to get objective markers or if they'll come later on. I know we're getting objective markers at some stage, but it might be in the next 20 issues. And they've not put them on here because they're not going to be used in every game, and they might only use certain ones in each game, something like that. I don't know. Or they might just come in the final 20 issues of the magazine. Anyway, this doesn't have an actual value. I'd value it around, £5. If Games Workshop sold something like this, they'd probably sell it for £10. So you're looking at, total value of somewhere between £20, £25. Some people won't use these, so it holds no value to them, but you can probably get about £5 for it on eBay. No problem. So that is what we get in the issue, so it's a good value issue. I'm filming this at the end because I completely forgot, but I'm going to whack in now a picture for you to show you that you can line the two battle mats up. They don't look perfect, like I suspected, but if you put a bit of terrain over the bit where they join, even the 2D terrain that we've got in the latest 2 issues of Conquest, then you can put them over it maybe. They'll give you a nice little effect where it will make that hard transition that you've got at the minute a little bit smoother. So there you have it. And onto the issue itself. Let's take a look at the front, as we always do. Plague Surgeons. This fella here is the painted Plague Surgeon. That's the miniature you get in this issue. Plague Surgeon Wargear and the Emperor. So we get to learn a little bit more about the Emperor. It's quite nice from what I read. I say it's quite nice. I mean, it's about how he's a tyrant, but it's all good information. It's not all the typical one-sided, the Imperium's point of view kind of thing. It gives you how and why the Death Guard feel about the Emperor. So just getting rid of the front page there. It talks about Plague Surgeons like we've seen. The designation is Plague Surgeon, specialism, battlefield pathology, gene seed retrieval and biological warfare. So not only are they there to heal your Plague Marines and your Poxwalkers and other units, they're also there to as an attacking, as an offensive unit. In the lore, they develop the biological warfare with some of the other Death Guard characters. They advance it and tweak it to make it even more effective. So, talking about the Plague Surgeons. The Plague Surgeon was once an apothecary of the Death Guard Legion. So, that shows you why they've got, flicking over to the next page, some of the war gear they've got. The war gear is the demonic armour, which most Death Guard have. The backpack with a little bit of equipment there specific to the Plague Surgeon. Foul syringes, bale sword, which is like a plague knife but It's a sword. It's basically a Death Guard equivalent of a power sword. And then there's the Tainted Narthecium, which is the tool of the apothecary, so gives you that link. But going back to the previous page, because I did skip one there, talks here about infectious form and about how the plague surgeon, because he's always developing new plagues and tweaking them and stuff like that, if anybody's a fool to try and get into combat with a plague surgeon, because they sort of emit these plagues that they've been working on over the centuries, over the millennia, and if you get into combat with him, you're going to be dead within hours or something. But there's no rules that go along with that law, unfortunately. It'd be nice if there were, but from reading through the magazine already today, I didn't see any specific anyway. Correct me in the comments or tell me if there are more rules in the Death Guard Codex if you're already collecting the Death Guard army and have the Codex. Feel free to tell me in the comments below if there are more specific rules related to that law. And then it gives you a little bit of information about them being gene seed thieves as well. So they're on the hunt for fallen space marines, like I said, so they can take the gene seed and then taint it, recreate more, create more plague marines again. So we've spoken briefly about the war gear, and it's all pointed out here. Flicking over to the next page, it points it out and looks at it in a little bit more detail. So let's just focus on the Tainted Narthecium. It's a Narthecium and Reductor. The plague surgeon's corrupted Narthecium can be used to boost the plagues and diseases coursing through their brethren to infect their foes. Again, I don't think there's any rules. That's more law than rules, unfortunately. I don't think there's any rules to support that law. But then, talking about the Bale Sword. Bale Swords are powerful plague weapons. These cursed blades are filled with warp energy and fester with plague and infection. They may even manifest living rust that corrodes enemy armour. So that's why they have, they're similar to a power sword. When I say that, what I mean is they have a high AP value. So a power sword is almost like an electrified sword. It's got an energy coursing through it, which makes it easier for you to cut through your opponent's armour. And effectively the Bale Sword does that with diseases and rust and stuff coming off it, rather than the energy. It's like warp energy, basically, rather than the actual energy used in a power sword. All these pages are coming off. I've not even thumbed through. I've thumbed through this once, that's it, and read it quickly. But moving on, talking about the Emperor. To mortal humans, the Emperor is no less than a god. We touched on in, I think, the issue with the Chaplain, probably, how the Space Marine Legions don't worship the Emperor as a god, but the rest of the Imperium does. There is one Space Marine, sorry, I say Legions, that's what they were called pre-heresy, but then they were split up into smaller chapters. So the Space Marine chapters don't worship the Emperor as a god, but the Black Templars, which is one of the chapters, do worship him as a god. I have a feeling there are a couple more, but they've neglected to mention them. They probably don't want to flood you with information like I typically do when I go off on tangents in these videos. I know some people like that, but I do like to, where possible, stay on course with what I'm talking about. So I'll just flip through to the next page. The Golden Throne is deep within the Imperial Palace, protected by the Emperor's finest warriors, the Adeptus Custodes. The Imperial Palace is located, again, I think I've mentioned this on a previous video, but the Imperial Palace is located in the Himalayas, and it is protected by the Adeptus Custodes, who previously were, their only job was to protect the Imperial Palace, protect Terra, and guard the Emperor, basically. But when Rabute Gilliman came back, he instructed the Custodes to go out into the galaxy and get to the front of these battlefields where the war's the toughest. So they're like almost like jumped up Space Marines, though if I remember rightly they came before the Space Marines, and they're not physiologically they're not the same as Space Marines, but it's all gene craft, similar to the way the Emperor was made, I think, with gene craft. And the Emperor made the Primarchs with gene craft. He also made the Custodes, and he made the Space Marines with gene craft to varying degrees, for specific purposes. The Custodes' purpose being to be his bodyguard, basically. And he goes on to talk about the Emperor as the guiding light of the Imperium, even in death. He sits on the Golden Throne, and the Astronomicon, which his psychic energy operates, basically, is a guiding light to the ships navigating through the stars. Again, I've touched on that in previous videos. I feel like I'm going around in circles with a lot of this information because I do go off on tangents. Just to give you a snippet of the Emperor here, he is a psychic warrior. The Emperor's great psychic power could be unleashed on his enemies to devastating effect. In the final battle with Horus, he was able to unleash enough psychic energy to kill Horus and destroy his presence in the warp, preventing his resurrection. So, demon Primarchs and Primarchs empowered by chaos, or even Space Marines empowered by chaos, or demon princes, which were former Space Marines, when they are killed, they can be resurrected by sorcerers doing spells and rituals, because their energy just goes into the warp. But the Emperor is so psychically strong that he prevented that from happening. There's certain weapons in the game that are supposed, or in the lore really, I suppose, rather than the game, that are supposed to prevent that from happening as well. But yeah, that shows how powerful the Emperor is. He can just wipe someone out from existence like that. And another thing he could do was alter his size and appearance to a person that he was talking to. Sometimes he'd appear as an old man, sometimes he'd appear as a mighty warrior, depending on which Primarch he'd located and was talking to for the first time, depending on the demeanour he wanted you to perceive. He could do all that, similar to the way Magnus could as well, one of his Primarchs. He's a leader of men, and he created the Primarchs. Anyway, right, so we've got the how to build next. How to build's really simple, 2 pages. I tend to flick through these really quickly. It's got a picture of the sprue there, so you can check you've got all your bits, and then it shows you how to put it all together there. Nice and simple. The how to paint section is really quick again. It's only 6 pages, but it's just about the one character this time. So flicking through, I'll see if there's anything particularly of interest to point out to you. I can't really see anything at the moment. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 pages it is. Yeah, it's just picking out all the various areas, and I'll show you the model, how it looks at the end. So this is the stage the model's at. It's still got plenty to do, but they've done the recess shading similar to the previous 2 issues that we've seen on recess shading on Space Marines and Death Guard miniatures. And then there's an advanced technique. It talks about, they leave it here with the Bale sword just painted in silver, but the advanced technique, it paints the bit in the middle with flesh to represent like a demonic infestation in the sword, I think. And then it's on to search and rescue, the mission in this one. Similar to issue 19 or something, when we got the second battle map, the previous battle map to this, the one that we're using now. The battle map isn't used in this one, the new battle map, so I assume that'll be used from issue 40 onwards. However, yeah, the search and rescue mission, this is a really cool little mission, and we also get another piece of terrain other than the battle map in this. I'll just flick to it at the back to show you quickly. We get this, which is a crashed Aquila lander. In one of the previous editions starter sets, there was a crashed Imperial lander, bit of like plastic terrain you could get. I don't know if you can actually buy it separately from Games Workshop, but this fits in the top of the T section on the current map we're using, and it fits in really nicely as well. It's again, I just think it's really nice how the making the battlefield look different with these new little bits of 2D terrain. It's so simple, such a simple idea, but it just switches your brain and tells a little story in your brain, and it makes it a little bit more immersive. Sure, if you had the 3D version of the terrain, it would be even more immersive, but at the end of the day, they can only give you so much stuff with this before it becomes too costly for them to just keep putting extra stuff in there. So for me, the 2D terrain is a lovely little touch, especially when these back pages, when you it's on the back page, so when you put these in your binder, normally you'd be throwing the back page away, so that's the perfect page to put it on as well. Going back to the mission, this is about, there's so you may remember the previous mission had a landing pad piece of terrain in it, and you were trying to evacuate the gene seed. That Aquila lander, which came to take away the gene seed, is the Aquila lander here that's crashed. It's crashed on the battlefield. you set up your battlefield as follows, with the Space Marines deploying in 2 corners and the Death Guard deploying in 2 corners. The Aquila is at this part of the T section of road, as I said, and you set up 6 objectives which represent various things from gene seed, intelligence and survivors, and you roll a d3 to determine which of those things you have captured when you claim the objective. In order to claim the objective, you just have to be touching it at the end of a turn and not be in contact, not be within 1 inch of an enemy model. So on a roll of 1 on the d3, you gain 1 victory point because it's intelligence that you've recovered. On a roll of 2, it's a survivor that you've located, so that's 2 victory points. And then on a roll of 3, you get 3 victory points. It's a bit of gene seed you've found. The battle seems quite uneven in this one to me. You get 2 units of 3 Plague Marines, 12 Poxwalkers, Plague Surgeon, Foul Blightspawn, and the Space Marines get 5 Intercessors, 5 Reavers, 3 Hellblasters, 3 Aggressors, and a Primaris Apothecary. So to me that's 1, 2, so that's 10, 16. You're probably getting about 20 wounds on the Space Marine side there. With the with the Death Guard, you do get 12 wounds from the Poxwalkers. You get another 6 from the Plague Marines. So you're probably about equal on the amount of wounds, actually, thinking about it. So it might not be as uneven as I first thought it was. So ignore me there. Victory conditions, other than the claiming the objectives, you gain 1 victory point for each enemy unit eliminated. The first player to eliminate an enemy unit gains 1 victory point, and each time you move an objective marker, you roll on the table, and the battle lasts 5 rounds. It's a nice little battle. They're keeping the theme strong. They're going from one battle to the next and following on with the theme, continuing it throughout the course of the collection, which is fantastic, in my opinion. So the Plague Surgeon, I'll just look over a few of his stats. He's got a movement of 5, which is standard for the Plague Marines. 3 attacks, 4 wounds. Leadership of 8, so I think that's similar to the Apothecary, though I might be wrong. He might have a leadership of 9. War gear, he's got a bolt pistol, a bale sword, as I said, which is strength user, AP -3, and you reroll hit rolls of 1 for this weapon. He gets blight grenades and crack grenades. He's got disgustingly resilient, which is that 5-up Death Guard save that all Death Guard units get. I don't know if it's actually all Death Guard units or just all infantry Death Guard units. It's one or the other. Death to the False Emperor rule, the Tainted Narthesian rule. You may re-roll disgustingly resilient rolls of 1 made for friendly Death Guard units within 3 inches of this model. So they have to be quite close to benefit from it. But still, it's the... Is it the unit? Death Guard units. Yeah, it's the whole unit, so you can just have 1 Poxwalker within 3 inches of him and have a big line of them going away from him. And all those Poxwalkers benefit from the re-rolls of 1, so disgusting and resilient. Gives you another little chance of saving some of them if you've got to make a lot of disgusting and resilient saves. And with regards to the Gene Seed Thief rule, you add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls made for this model in the fight phase when targeting Adeptus Astartes infantry or Adeptus Astartes biker units. So that's really good. You add 1 to both the to hit and the to wound rolls. He's strength 4, so with his sword he's going to be wounded on 4s anyway. So that means he wounds on 3s, and his weapon skill is 3 up, but that means he wounds on a roll of 2 instead, which is fantastic. It's good little rules there. It looks like a good combat unit, to be honest, rather than the traditional apothecary recovering and helping support other units in the Space Marines. Next issue, we get a captain, which is absolutely fantastic. That's a £22.50 miniature, I think I've said previously. Liberator Gold in the following issue, Wild Rider Red and Stormhost Silver, which are all 3 new layer paints. Liberator Gold is like a silvery sort of gold. It's like a really pale gold. I like pale golds. I'm not a huge fan of like yellowy golds myself. However, it is a layer paint designed to be used over Retributor armour. So if you want your gold to look less yellow, more sort of silvery, then more like a white gold, then use plenty of Liberator Gold over your Retributor armour, or just forgo the Retributor armour altogether and slap on some Liberator Gold. Personally, I'd do Retributor armour then Liberator Gold, but the choice is yours. Wild Rider Red as well, which is, I love Wild Rider Red. I use it as a base coat for oranges. It's a layer paint again, but I like to use it as a base coat for my oranges because it gives you that really deep sort of orangey red in the recesses. So we use it like on orc trousers and stuff like that. And then Stormhost Silver, which is a really nice silver. If any older hobbyists watching this video may remember Mithril Silver. Stormhost Silver is not quite Mithril Silver, but it's a not far off. It's the closest GW have got, in my opinion, since Mithril Silver. So that's it. That's this issue, and that's the upcoming issues as well. We're getting more information about Marnius Caldor, who is the chapter master of the Wolverines, the Ultramarines in that issue as well. Bit about Demon Princes, bit about the history of Ultramar, and painting highlights. So, with those 3 paints, we're going to learn a bit more about painting highlights, which is excellent because they're layer paints designed for painting highlights. That's all we've got this week, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.